7-11-22 to Kenny.
8300. 8362, 28 to a vehicle, 900 North Main parking lot of Kmart. Case number
3, 2, 1.
Now as that takes me a stroll.
All right. Without further ado, let's get to. So, a new report comes out that they're saying that COVID vaccinations have plateaued despite all the incentive programs and media marketing, even with Facebook placing disclaimers on everything you post that mentions vaccinations, COVID-19, vid. Despite all that, vaccinations have plateaued. And I wonder why. So I want to get to this news clip and then get back with probably my reaction.
Vaccination rates have seemingly plateaued in the U.S. even after full FDA approval was granted to the Pfizer COVID vaccine. 26 states are offering various incentives, from money to marijuana, free food to free beer. Just yesterday, the mayor of Little Rock, Arkansas, announced that the city would offer $50 gift cards after each dose of the Pfizer or Moderna vaccines.
That's fucking weird. Like, we'll get back to the clip, but I'm sorry, but that's just weird that that's the length that they're going to sell this vaccine, and that it doesn't alarm people and people just follow this shit. But I don't know. Let me let y'all.
And if you decide to get the single-dose Johnson & Johnson shot, well, you get a $100 gift card. But how effective are these incentives? Associate Director of the Center for Health Incentives and Behavioral Economics at the University of Pennsylvania, Harsha Thirumurthy, is here with more. Thirumurthy, I hope I said your last name right. This is a very interesting area of research, particularly now. So explain what your research found when it comes to these financial vaccine incentives, giving people a beer or, a chance to win $1 million. Is it working?
Yeah, good morning, and thanks so much for having me here. So my colleagues and I at the University of Pennsylvania and the University of Chicago, we took what I would argue is a very simple approach, which is we looked at the time in July, there were 24 states that had introduced some type of statewide incentive program. And we did a very simple comparison, which is we looked at the trends in the daily vaccination rates in these states. And we recognized that over time, the vaccination rates in the US were declining every day. So the number of people getting vaccinated has been on a steady downward trend at least for a long time. And so what we did is we compared those 24 states that did have these incentive programs to the other 26 states that didn't have any such incentive program, adjusting for a lot of what was happening in the background in terms of national trends. And what we find, the bottom line here, is that at least for these statewide incentive programs, there was no effect on the daily vaccination rates, which means we did not see more people coming in to get vaccinated in the immediate aftermath of the introduction of these statewide incentives. And as you said, a lot of these incentive programs, they had many different forms. The vast majority of them were what we call vaccine lotteries. I believe something like 18 of these 24 states introduced vaccine lotteries, and then a few states had these smaller incentives like a free beverage or a free entry into a state park. And then there were a very limited number of states that had these types of what we call guaranteed rewards. So like the one that you just mentioned in a city, So $50, $25, even $100 for getting vaccinated. But the bottom line is that it does not seem to be, at least at the state level, a very effective way to motivate people to get vaccinated.
So I guess this is the question on everybody's mind, especially folks who have been vaccinated. And let's say you have someone in your family who doesn't want to receive the vaccine. What would incentivize people to be vaccinated? And again, this is, I understand, and I think it's important, and Emery and I have done this quite often to remind our viewers that this is not, the best method of trying to get people vaccinated is not to shame them or condescend to them or to ask them what's wrong with them, but to try and hear them and understand where they're coming from and why they feel the way that they feel. Because I think in my mind, well, dying or ending up on a ventilator is incentive enough. It was incentive enough for me to get vaccinated. I didn't need the money, the free Krispy Kreme, the free hot dog. But
you took it anyways. You took it anyways. Let's be honest.
If they're giving it away, I'm gonna go get some, right? I'm only human. But what would incentivize?
Right. So that's a terrific question, and indeed, for many of us, it wasn't the case that an incentive was necessary. But clearly, for a large number of Americans, there are a number of factors that are getting in the way of going for a vaccination, and we think that a lot of different forces are operating on people's lives. So one is they're being exposed to a lot of different messages through the media. They may be getting misinformation about the effectiveness of vaccines or some of the dangers associated with them. They may also have other constraints that are related to their day-to-day lives, whether it's about getting to work or being able to take time off to go for a vaccination dose. So we think that one reason why our findings overall were somewhat disappointing is that these lottery incentives, although they've had a good track record in other settings, it may be the case that at the state level, when you say that there's going to be a few people who will get, say, $1 million jackpot, that some people look at that and say, well, the chances of my winning that are very low, and perhaps that's contributing to relatively limited effectiveness. So I believe, even though we do feel that there's some rapid research that's necessary, I believe that we do want to see more of these guaranteed rewards being provided. And I think the prospects for those types of incentives having more effect actually are much, much stronger. And indeed, I think it's encouraging that in the Biden administration, one of the recommendations they've made is that states offer incentives along the lines of $100. I think that's likely to be slightly more effective than the lottery incentives that we've seen in many cases. And just the other point I want to make is that our research is not sort of the final word on whether incentives are effective or not. We're looking at these statewide programs, which is quite possible that people have not necessarily heard about them. Maybe there isn't sufficient marketing of the promotion of the campaigns. So it's quite possible that at the city level, when a city introduces incentives, or maybe even employers introduce incentives, and you have local leaders who are promoting the existence of these types of incentives, that we'd see slightly more promising results. But indeed, as you say, there's many factors that are getting in the way. We definitely are not claiming, or we don't believe that incentives alone are going to be the solution here, even if it's possible that these guaranteed rewards that are larger in value will show some better results. But we think it needs to be accompanied by so many other things, including trusted leaders, going out in public and promoting vaccination. And I think especially in other research that we've done, we found that it's particularly when you have political leaders or local leaders who in the past, say, were resistant to vaccinations or didn't promote it as strongly, if they come around and now say that this is really important, that it's worth doing, I think that message is likely to resonate more strongly with people who until now have not gone for vaccinations.
It's a fascinating topic, a fascinating discussion, Harsha. We'd love to continue talking about it more. Hopefully you'll come back and continue to illuminate us on what is really.
And yeah, so, that's the I know that's kind of like the line that the mainstream media kind of plays with it, and I think it's bigger than that. And nowhere on media of any source are you gonna see it, and they're not really gonna talk about it. But I mean, and somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is supposed to be somehow the worst disease ever, and it only has a 1% mortality rate. You got the whole country, most of the world walking around in allergen masks. And then you can report what you want, but then when you're actually on the ground, when you're actually in the streets, you have people. We, the people, have each other. We can talk to each other. So despite a news report, you have people that will come to you. Some will say, oh man, I took it, shit, I'm fine, whatever. That's great. It's more, I've gotten more people telling me about bad reactions than good ones. There are constantly reports of fully vaccinated celebrities. I think Oscar De La Hoya is one of the most recent ones, fully vaccinated. And then now all of a sudden they have a new variant of the damn disease. Like you can't talk around this shit. And I'm not trying to come around. I'm not trying to come at pro-vaxxers. But my thing with people that are so pro-vax is, they don't look at this shit in a 360 kind of way. They tend to be the following type of crowd. And I think with anything that, somebody has to ingest, you have the right to be skeptical, question, and refuse. You know what I'm saying? A lot of pro-vax people will turn around and be real conspiracy theorists on dispensary weed. They're more worried about, what might they put in this weed? I'm gonna still deal with the weed man over, what's in this vaccine and shit that motherfuckers are reacting to. I mean, shit, I did a little bit of pharmacy in school to know that drugs go through a certain process before they're FDA approved. There's been no drug ever, vaccine, whatever, that's been approved and pushed out this damn fast. The risk of taking something this quick in this stage of production is so high. And this is just fucking logic. They really put out something and they use the people as the clinical trial. This shit should probably still be in a phase where it's being tested on monkeys. I'm not owning cruelty to animals and shit. Fuck out your feelings. But I'm just saying, we've been made to be the lab rats. And they're downplaying it because for whatever, I believe this administration got a mean deal from these drug companies and all these people involved. And so they have to push this shit to make these motherfuckers richer. At the end of the day, it's not about you. It's not about your health. It's not about safety because nobody is breaking their fucking neck to come up with a cancer vaccine or a HIV vaccine or diabetes. Come on. You usually follow the money. and you find the motive. But that's all I have to say, man. Let me know what y'all think. I've been me. Remember to like and subscribe. It's free. And hit the notification bell. That'll let you know when I'm on here talking my shit, giving y'all that grease. And yeah.
What's the hold up? I've been waiting for my money when it show up. Cause when the check come through, that's when I go up. You know it doesn't come free. What's your motive? 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 I've been waiting for my money when it show up. Cause when the check come through, that's when I go up. You know it don't come free. What's your motive? What's your motive? What's your motive? What's your motive? What's your motive?
Look, I want the money first, fame last. My rhyme scheme, COVID-19, same mask. Spit infected, go get injected with vaccine. With every record, we disrespecting the rap scene. Stay in the booth, quarantine flow. And every lyric is deeper than submarines go. Mad cash, mean flow, like casinos. Chase like a scar on my face, Spody Pacino. Yeah, heavyweights, added amino. Stepping on you niggas below us, nobody's equal. I'm the shit, I spit fecal. Matter, not a rapper, but leader to all the people. Come on, transparent, never see through. Sharper than the point of an arrow or a needle. This is something evil. Stroking over the canvas in the easel. And money is the motive that it leads to. Nigga, that's my motive.
I've been waiting for my money when it show up. Cause when the check come through, that's when I go up. You know it doesn't come free. What's your motive? 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 I've been waiting for my money when it show up. Cause when the check come through, that's when I go up. You know it don't come free. What's your motive? What's your motive? What's your motive? What's your motive?
Check. See how the streets will get to stopping and locking. When I'm in the kitchen, seasoning, concocting and cooking. Look, a lot of you niggas trash like it's hard just to step it up. A guru with a gourmet and scientist of the chef enough. A restaurant for the heat and a deli that'll always serve the hood, feeding niggas the hors d'oeuvres. God rap, prophecy, bust rhymes are great. Prepare the full course meal. Juice leaking from the steak. Check, acting like you ain't knowing you niggas must be idiots. Y'all know my name already. Bust rhymes and affiliates. With flip mode in this bitch, the alliance is kinda serious. Damage everything in the building regardless where it is. The way I saturate the street, I'm only saying I rapidly feed the hood like a fast food chain. No need to ever question why the hood love me. Down to aliens and vegetarians. Feed you if you hungry.
I've been waiting for my money when it show up. Cause when the check come through, that's when I go up. You know it doesn't come free. What's your motive? 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 I've been waiting for my money when it show up. Cause when the check come through, that's when I go up. You know it don't come free. What's your motive? What's your motive? What's your motive? What's your motive? What's
So
your motive?
ruthless, no I'm not giving a fuck of two shits. They out with the old, but I'm sick and tired of this new shit. I'm like 2 hits, blunt, real as the truth get. So much stock when I speak, I'm spitting blue chips. Who they thinking they a match for mine? I got hatches to bury and an axe to grind. It's taxing time for all of my haters, been thinking I lost. Say what you want, but I'm cold like Trump with the write-off. Give them the business for not following bylaws. Superfly like Jimmy Snooker up with the high cross. Bodying rappers for playing not their position. Cobra clutch on the mic, but the whole game is submission. They look and sound the same, we smash on the competition. Got busts across with us, this is a demolition. Mercenary, decapitate them with every line. Pay me now or pay me no, never mind, nigga, every time.
I've been waiting for my money when it show up. Cause when the check come through, that's when I go up. You know it doesn't come free. What's your motive? 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 I've been waiting for my money when it show up. Cause when the check come through, that's when I go up. You know it don't come free. What's your motive? 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 Motive.